Hello, I'm Terry David Mulligan, and this is the Mulligan Stew Podcast. Thank you for checking in with us. By the way, if you subscribe, the podcast will arrive each and every week for you to have a listen. Now, I can't remember the last time we did a two-parter separated by an entire summer. In May of this year, we all heard about, music fans heard about, Tedeschi Trucks Band. We're going to be releasing 4 albums during the course of the summer of 2022. The entire project was called I Am the Moon, based on a 12th century poem about Layla and Majnun. That Layla, of course, was the Layla that is mentioned in Eric Clapton's Layla and other assorted love songs. And because Tedeschi Trucks Band were big fans of that album and Clapton and the concept, the idea became, all right, well, that story was told through the eyes of Majnun, the young man. What about if we told the story through Layla's eyes and her experience? And Susan Tedeschi said, yep, that's it, right there. Let's do that. And so during COVID, they started to write. And they would write sometimes in a semicircle of 6 people. They wrote and recorded so many tunes that it became 4 albums, I Am the Moon. The first one in May was Crescent. At the end of June came Ascension. At the end of July came The Fall. And the end of August came Farewell. All 4 are out, and they are available, by the way, in an incredible 4-album boxed set, all vinyl. It's quite remarkable. And so when Susan and I had that conversation in May, I said, listen, this is the first of 4 albums. Can we come back and talk about the other 3 albums at the end of the summer? And she said, sure. So here we are. Here's a conversation with Susan Tedeschi, Tedeschi Trucks Band, talking about I Am the Moon, the project, and their lives around it. It's quite fascinating. Enjoy. Hello, Susan. It's good to see you again.
It's lovely to see you again, too. How have you been?
I've been busy. I'm happy as hell to be upright and breathing.
Right? I am, too. I'm with you on that one.
We talked in May about Ascension and that this project of I Am the Moon. For those in the audience who are just picking up on it or have heard about it and haven't followed through, give them this basic storyline so then my questions make sense. Would you?
Yeah. So basically in March of 2020, when the world stopped and we were leaving New York City and there was nobody on the street, so I knew that something was happening on an apocalyptic level. We went home and hunkered down with our kids our son was getting ready to go off to college, and, you know, it was an interesting time. And our bandmate, Mike Mattison, decided to go back and listen to our Layla recording that we made with Fish lead singer, Trey Anastasia. And he said, you know, I was checking out the old Eric record, and all the words in all of the songs are really aimed just from his point of view. And what about if we go back in and read the original Layla Majnun, and then maybe we think, what did she think about this? Or what did her parents, or what did the other people, you know, like, let's get some other inspiration and some other points of view. And I was like, wow, that's pretty deep and that's pretty heavy. And then he sent us out the complete Majnun, like we have a couple different versions of the Nizami poem, but incredible writing, beautiful. But it was interesting, like, during this time, here we are in a world where, you know, we're going through a pandemic. And I was thinking, gosh, you know, this is crazy. Like, all the things going on with, like, especially with women, you know, with like laws against women and all these things. I was like, you know, we really haven't evolved much in 800 years. Like, women are still a commodity that can be bought and sold. And it's like, what the heck is going on? So it was kind of interesting to think, oh, what did she think? And I was like, oh, wow, I guess we don't really think that all the time. You know, it's always, everything kind of comes at us from a man point of view a lot. I mean, obviously women too. We do have a voice, especially here in the United States. I feel very lucky to be a woman here as opposed to certain countries. But same time, you know, we have a lot of work to do as humans. And, you know, so this was really kind of an interesting project. It kind of just came out of nowhere. And then so much inspiration, everybody started writing, and then we got together I guess it was like August of 2020 for the first time with some of the, with Falcon, our Brandon, our bass player, our keyboard player, Gabe Dixon, Mike Mattison, and Derek and myself. And 6 of us sat around and we wrote all the songs for this record. And we had so many songs that we didn't know, we couldn't really do a 2-album record. It was so much information, and it was like really hard to digest all of it. So Derek and the band and I, we basically organically came about the idea of making it into 4 episodes and being able to fit each record, like making 4 records in each record fidelity wise, a perfect amount of time. Like in the old days when you had like a John Coltrane record or a Jimi Hendrix record, it was like 38 minutes, it's perfect. So it fits, 18 minutes per side is usually the perfect amount to have your fidelity not lose, quality and things. So it really just worked out the way it did. And we had a friend of ours who really helped tremendously in the sequence of all of the songs. Our friend Judd Strickland, who is an educator, works in Jacksonville, Florida. And he's an incredible guy. And he did a lot of work where he literally broke down each song, like what is the time signature? What key is it in? What's the mood? Does it fit into this category? And then he put this beautiful playlist together and we all loved it, all 12 of us, which is pretty amazing. If you have 12 people in a band, all thumbs up something.
It's interesting that you reference Coltrane, because I did as well. I mean, the first release was Crescent. The second was Ascension, both titles of Coltrane albums. Yeah.
So Derek, of course, loves Coltrane, and Ascension was something that he totally thought of John when that title came up. But it's one of his favorite records, and he loved that it was in, these different kind of movements, and it was very inspiring to to see him get passionate about it, as well as, everybody kind of brainstorming and like all these different ideas coming about. So it was really a great opportunity for us to kind of pay homage to some of those great records without taking from them exactly. So that was kind of cool.
But they are under your skin. They're in between the ears. No two ways about it. The Fall came out, and then Farewell came out. And when I talked to you in May, I was thinking, I'm talking about one of 4 albums. I don't know it's like the setup to a punchline. I don't know what the punchline is.
I know. And now we have the vinyl.
Oh man!
It finally came out. Here, I'll show you what it. We Derek and I finally got this yesterday. So this is the first time that I've actually even seen it. But when it came, I was so excited because it is like a little present. It comes and you have all 4 vinyl, and then you also have like this cool book, and it tells the story, and you get to see pictures of Josiah, the camel that we got to hang out with. But everything from, what is Passaquan, pictures of the band, all these fun things, and I think one thing that it actually kind of shows you is the diversity in our band. Yep. And as well as the music and the place that we kind of did the films and the photo shoot. There's a lot of global kind of coming together, like thematic. It's not just really the Layla idea, the Layla imagination. It's more about a human story, which I kind of love. And women are very much driven by the moon. I mean, think about our cycles and the moon and the tides. Yeah. And, we're very emotional people because, we're made of water and, we're very easily manipulated by the moon and the sun.
We're made of water. Now, you were singing a character. That's different from you sing as Susan. What was that like to become a character, to sing in her voice?
It was great. Honestly, I felt like the men really overachieved in this. I was really kind of blown away, like by Gabe Dixon's song, I Am the Moon.
Sure.
He really encompassed not only the poem, but how women feel like in sometimes, you know, a lot of women are used to, I hate to say it, but like men being in the forefront, you know, whether it's in business or whatever, and, you know, taken seriously all the time. But women really have to prove themselves all the time. They're never just like taken seriously unless you prove yourself, you know? So it's kind of funny, you know, some of the lyrics. And honestly, I'm just honored to be a part of this project and this band. And I like having all these different kind of characters that came about from writing. You know, Mike's song Fall In is really a great example of like the narrator almost in a way in a story, kind of telling the story like everyone's falling in, like we're all just like a bunch of crazy wildebeest and we're following in behind Derek as a leader or myself or the two of us. But, you know, it's kind of fun just to see how many human aspects this record kind of relates to. So it's not really like, it's just like, oh, I'm a woman and I'm speaking for a woman.
Yeah.
You know, it's more like we're all part of this whole crazy world. And here we all have a say, you know, and we all have a point of view, and it's important to listen and to see where we can go from here, you know?
I filled out a sheet of questions, and then on the side I started to write all the things about the songs. And I do acknowledge having done plays and film, you have to set the scene, and so that the first act is exploratory. It explains
Exactly.
everything and who that character is, and the same thing applied here. The first, you told the story in Crescent, the ascension and the fall and farewell all got a freedom that first act didn't have. They got to tell without ties to any of the characters. They got to just flow, and it shows
Exactly.
in the music.
Well, thank you so much. I do feel that, you know, and I feel like Crescent, well, you do have to set the stage.
Yeah.
You know, you do have to prepare people for something, you know, and so it is good to start somewhere with some structure and then to go from there, you know, which is great.
What kind
And
of
I feel like Hear My Dear, the opening song, it's like, here, this is our story. This is a melody for you that I found when I was out in the wilderness, you know, and then Fall In, it's like the narrator and he's telling the story. We're going to follow this guy to the end. And I Am the Moon. It's like, oh, here's Layla. And then here's Majnun and he's gone mad, and Circle Around the Sun is him going mad in the wilderness. And, you know, tell people I'm okay, but I'm trying to find myself and the mental health isn't great. And I was like, and then there's Passaquan. Passaquan is the instrumental, which it sounds like an Allman Brothers song in a way, where it, you know, has a theme, and then you have all this beautiful improvisation, and then you come back to the theme at the end, but it shows like all the talent in this band and a big part of Derek and who he is. And it really does kind of set the stage, you know, on a lot of different levels. And
we'll tell the music fans out there who have not heard this music, do not be scared off by we might sound like we're talking about an opera. It's not a rock opera, it's not an opera, but it has operatic themes and storytelling in it, because there's covering a lot of ground. However, there's still New Orleans funk, there's second line, there's third line, there's some Coltrane, and there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of Tedeschi Trucks right there. If you're a fan going in, you're going to be a big fan coming out, and they'll take you along through trust, love, infatuation, obsession, a passion, rejection, hate, the highs and lows of love, and hope. You end with a hope note.
Yes. That was a big, you know, that's a funny thing. Like when you're doing the record and you're thinking about the sequence, like I never would have thought, oh, we're going to end on this song another day. But the way that it fell, and then when it really happened in real life, and we watched the movie, because there's a film that coincides with each one. And when I watched it, I was like, you know, it really does end in a hopeful message, which I was so happy about. And, you know, I don't even know if we really did that on purpose exactly, but obviously this band means that, you know, we really tried to bring hope to people. And, you know, so I was really excited that it ended on that song. And you know, and that's the great thing about it. It does take you on an adventure, you know, and it does take you through all those feelings, you know, trust, love, rejection, hate, all these things. But it does end with hope, because we have to have hope. It's what pulls us through, it's what pulls us together, you know, and makes us tackle the things we don't want to deal with, but we know we have to, and we can do, you know. And in this band is hopeful, you know, and we try to show that in our diversity within ourselves. You know, here we are 12 people from all different backgrounds, all different types of music. Everybody is a brilliant musician. There's not one person in that band that is not. And so, you know, there's a lot of mutual love and respect, and it shows. And I think people, when they come to see us, what are you going to say?
I have always admired, first of all, the honesty in the music. And the other band that I have the same feeling for is Los Lobos. And you are friends.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Honesty, no BS. This is it. This is what we do. This is how we play. We hope you like it. We worked hard on these things. We play and sing from the heart. And I love the fact that there's 24 songs. There's 4 albums. All of the artwork that you were showing there. I'm kind of wondering how it's, because it's almost impossible not to change the band and change you, because this is a huge footprint that you've laid down. You'll go on to do many other things, but this is a pivotal moment.
It is. It is a pivotal moment. And honestly, I feel like the world is in a pivotal moment. You know, dealing with the pandemic, one thing about it was it made you stop and realize, well, it actually helped us be able to see with our own eyes how things had changed when we as humans stopped. So it makes you realize we need to be more accountable for what we do as humans. And obviously I'm a musician. I don't, you know, I'm not here to preach about politics or religion or anything, but I do know that we're all human beings that live on the same planet and ultimately want the same things. You know, you want clean air and clean water and a safe place to live and food on the table and some kind of security, and you want to hug people and you want to love each other. So it's like, let's find the things that we have in common instead of just always focusing on the things that pull us apart. You know, there's always something to pull you apart, but the hope is important. You know, it's showing people that we can overcome things and we can do things. And through music and art, yes, if we can do it that way, lovely. But like, we're not trying to make anyone feel bad. We want to make people feel good, you know?
I'm dying to ask you about the Beacon gigs up ahead. That's 7 nights in New York City. There's only a couple of tickets left for a couple of gigs, and all the rest are sold out. So it's a 2-part question. Have you played live the 4 albums yet?
Not all 4.
Okay,
no.
Fine.
We have played live the first record in its entirety.
Okay.
And we have played songs from all 4, but not all 4 in its entirety. Actually, during this break right now, we're supposed to be learning the rest of the songs so we can perform them live. So we're trying to work on that.
All right.
But also, the Beacon is always a time where we play each show differently. We never play the same exact sets. We're not very predictable, I guess you could say. So we have such a huge catalog of music now, between all of the records that we've made and all the covers that we've done, and between the Mad Dogs and Englishmen, you know, record that we made and film, and then also the Layla, Derek and the Dominos Layla record that we, you know, got to perform live. So there's all that catalog mixed with all of our original stuff, mixed with now 24 new songs. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen because we have to learn all the songs and we have to practice them.
But I see that Amy Helm and Ruthie Foster are going to open up 1 show each, but then you got 4 two-set shows.
Yes.
And a surprise opening act on October the 3rd.
Yes.
What's the significance of October the 3rd? It's your 50th.
It's the 50th performance live at the Beacon for this band. Yeah.
So who opened your first gig at the Beacon? Do you remember? Ever?
Who back? Opened our first show?
Yeah.
Oh, good question.
I'm trying to think of who the surprise is. That's all. Can you tease us?
Well, the surprise is some old friends of ours who are getting up there in age. And it's not Los Lobos. We did just tour with them, but it wasn't them. But definitely somebody who's been around for many decades. And actually, these two guys both performed at Woodstock. That's a hint.
Well,
that'll be coming out, and yeah, they're gonna open, and they'll probably sit in and play a couple songs.
okay,
But
so it's somebody
yeah,
from so it's somebody from Sha-na-na, and no, it's Carlos.
no, it's not Carlos,
Okay.
but you never know if Carlos will show up.
Yeah.
He's just one of those cats that'll just show up. He is a beautiful person, by the way. Very sweet, incredible.
The tracks I want to tell folks about, and I'll be playing. I can feel you smiling. The Oliver Wood co-write. Love it, love it. Can't wait to hear that live.
That's a fun one.
Where Are My Friends? Last Night in the Rain. Oh man, that's almost like a folk festival song where everybody sings along and waves in the air.
Right.
I'm playing a lot of Soul Sweet Song. Is it for Kofi?
Yep.
Is it for John Prine?
Yes, for all of them. I mean, honestly, we lost so many incredible musicians during this pandemic, and also to other things. You know, we lost Kofi before that, but Kofi was a huge inspiration for that song. And it was really interesting because Gabe, who ended up having to take over his role in the band, was hugely instrumental in writing the lyrics with Mike as well as the music. So really a beautiful, almost tribute to him through our newest member, you know, taking on that role. And Gabe has been so incredibly talented and sweet and instrumental in where this whole project has gone. So I really do feel like, and Eric and Gabe, and then Brandon and Falcon, as well as the rest of the band, have just made monumental contributions, you know, to this group and music and tribute to each other, you know, just loving each other and playing music because it's fun and because it is hopeful and it brings people together, you know. So it's been amazing. It really has. And it's been such a positive response from this whole project. And when we do play the songs, we get a reaction, which is really quite amazing. You know, it's been really, really special.
Have people told you what kind of a journey these albums have taken them on?
Yes, some of the people have just been literally sitting on the seat of their pants, like waiting for things to come out when they did. And then they were like, oh my gosh, I watched it on YouTube and I got to watch the film coming out with the, you know, and it was a communal experience and people were like live on the chat. And there were people from like Buenos Aires and people from Africa and people from Australia. So it was like, wow, you know, like we literally are doing something in real time together. Like it really did feel communal, which was really beautiful. And people have been really digging it. And it does. And I love how music can mean something different to each person. You know, like a song that you listen to can have one meaning for you. And then for somebody else, it has a totally different meaning, which I love.
Like, for example, La Di Da, which initially was about the son going off to college and empty nesters. But now now I'm hearing all sorts of narratives about what that song is about. So it's just free to be what it is, I guess.
It is. Well, the great thing about La Di Da is like everybody wakes up and then something has changed, you know, like maybe you lose your parents, you know, or maybe you lose, you know, or maybe it can be anything. It doesn't even have to be a relationship with a person even, but I do love that. You know, I was kind of making it a tribute to like my grandpa Doherty, who was, you know, from Ireland, and and he used to own like Irish folk bars and all this stuff. And I kind of wanted to have like an Irish folk tune. And my son, Charlie, really looks a lot like my grandpa Doherty. So I was thinking like him going off to school, and just like when you're a parent and, you know, your baby's little and when they're sleeping, it's like such a beautiful image, like when your kid is finally napping and they look so angelic. And I wanted to like kind of have like some of these images in a song, because, you know, they grow up so fast. And then all of a sudden you're thinking back like, wow, they were just a baby and now they're a grown man. And, you know, and it's so bittersweet, you know, it's like, we have to move on, but we have to be supportive and excited. But at the same time, you just want to say, hey, like, thank you. And like, there's so much we can't do when we want to control, but you can't. So you just go with it and like, come on, let's just celebrate it. Like, let's celebrate these things, and the lives of people, if they pass. Because I'm sure during the pandemic, so many people lost family and friends.
And friends.
It's just,
you know what? They lost friends, not just because of the pandemic, but because of the choices made along the way,
That too. Very true. Very true. It's really sad when politics comes between families. And unfortunately, I've seen that more in the last 4 years, 6 years than I ever thought I would.
Just for the record, I still play Shame. I still play it.
It's a great one.
It's a good one.
Yep.
I liked it.
It is a good one.
By the way, I'll leave you with the last question that you tried to answer in May, which was, is this just a group of songs? Are they not connected, or will they carry the narrative forward? I was talking about, of course, the first release. I didn't know about 2, 3, and 4. I hadn't heard them. And you said, I don't know how that's going to work. What's the answer, do you think?
Like if the songs will carry on by themselves or as a narrative for the project?
Yeah, the narrative for the project.
I do think they will carry on. I do think that people will obviously have their own relationships with the music, because that's always the case, which is beautiful. But I do think that people will remember it as a project that is like bigger than the sum of its parts. It's not just 4 albums and here's the stuff, but it's kind of like a moment in time.
It is.
And even the moment of doing something so ambitious and crazy as like 4 records all at once shows that like we actually had time for the first time in years, because we always tour so much. We never really take off enough time to sit back and write and to really dive into a project wholeheartedly.
And the collaborative was incredible. It's to be applauded. It's amazing.
Right. And so it was really an important time because we were able to do something different because we had time. We weren't so rushed. But ultimately, I feel like this project will make a statement because it signifies a point in time and something that we all have to go through. And so it's not just about Layla and Majnun and their relationship, but it's our relationship with each other as human beings. And I do feel like it really kind of puts us in touch. And Pasaquan is the idea of this Pasaquanian people that are all different people that come together and they live in harmony. And so that is like the hope that we have, that we can all be from these different places and live in harmony and love each other. I mean, ultimately, we all want to get along. We don't want to fight and be divisive,
I want to thank you so much and for your friendship. This is for Mulligan Stew and the Mulligan Stew podcast, but it's also for CKUA Radio, which is province-wide in Alberta. And it's donor-supported and has been for almost 100 years. It is the single bravest music station you have ever heard. Everybody in the chair is a specialist at what they're playing. We're about to go into fundraising, and you know about donor-supported radio. Just tell people how important it is to keep that flame lit.
It's incredibly important. Number one, it's important to have real news. It's important to have real radio supported by real humans that care, because you're going to have all these beautiful stories of the things that you want to know are going on in the world. And you want to know how you can help. And you can't fix things without hearing about what's going on. And you can't go out and do it yourself because we don't have time. So it's incredible.
And the power of music, Susan, the power of music.
Oh, the power of music and art is unquestionably, it's so sacred and so important because it's what makes us human. It's what makes us feel. It's what gives us empathy, or it makes you feel things that you don't know that you feel. It helps us work on our own things, but music, art in all its forms is so sacred and it's beautiful.
Thank you, Susan. Hello to Derek. Hello to the band. Have yourself a great week in New York City. Buy something, maybe some new shoes, and and have a great year. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Thank you so much, Terry. Well, hopefully I'll get to talk to you again. We're coming. We're going to try to come to Canada next year. We're really going to try and make it a priority because it's been a while and we're going to try to get back up there. So look for us.
God bless.
23.
Love you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Terry.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate you.
Susan Tedeschi, Tedeschi Trucks Band. The project is I Am the Moon. All 4 albums are out there now. The first album was Crescent. The second was Ascension. The third was The Fall. And the fourth was Farewell. It's a concept album, and it's not a concept album. It is not a rock opera. It is just so many tunes. They put it into 4 albums of the right length, so the audio was great. That's why you want to get the vinyl if you can. All right, that's it. Susan Tedeschi, thank you for coming back and talking to us and sharing your music. This has been the Mulligan Stew Podcast. You can find us at mulliganstew.ca. Please subscribe, Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, and we'll see you next week.